talk to you today about using your past success to help you fuel your future success. So I actually one time heard Tony Robbins say that success leaves clues, which means you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can find a mentor, someone who you respect, see what they're doing, and copy it. And I just think that's brilliant. But as I was thinking about it, it's better if you can use your own past success. So let me give you an example. I'm going to use myself as an example. I tend to not doubt myself as much anymore as I did when I was younger. But recently I had a situation happen. I really started doubting myself. I was surprised. It was when my karate master told me that he wanted me to test for my black belt. I immediately felt like there was just no way I could do it. And I told him I didn't want to test for my black belt because I had gone through a very traumatic health crisis, didn't think I could do it. Now, if you know where I train, you would understand why. We have like multiple titled world champions that train there, 8th degree, 9th degree black belts. It's a pretty intense place and they take it very seriously. And here's me, this middle-aged mom, and all this chatter started going through my head. I'm just a middle-aged mom. Nobody takes me seriously. I can't do it. My health challenges. I mean, I was crazy. And here I am, this person, I'm used to coaching people not to do that, but it began to happen to me. You don't question your master when they tell you something. The look on his face was just awful. And he told me, it's time for you to test. That's it. Get ready. And so I had to dig deep. I went back to my mentor. I got some coaching again. And I also started asking myself, why am I going through this? And then what I did is an exercise I have done many times in the past. Think about the times you have been incredibly successful with something. Now, I've got some great successes in my life, but I wanted to go back to a time when I was really young, when it meant something really important to me, when it was really hard to achieve it. So I went back to a time, believe it or not, when I was 12. And I was a dork. I mean, I'm not kidding. I wasn't like a little bit of a dork. I was a dork. I was this bookworm. I was not popular at all. And I didn't like it. And so I had made the decision, I don't like this anymore. I want to change how I interact with people. I wanted to become more social. And I thought to myself, I want to become a cheerleader, except one problem. I couldn't move like a cheerleader. I was a dork, like I'm not kidding. So I couldn't figure out how I was going to do this. We didn't have any money. I couldn't just go take classes. I couldn't take dance lessons, like expensive dance lessons and cheerleading lessons like they have today. There was none of that and we couldn't have afforded it anyways. So I sat down and I worked so hard. I actually went to cheerleading practices and watched the cheerleaders. They probably thought I was stalking them, but I watched them in such detail over and over and over. And I would go home for hours. I would practice until I watched them. I would visualize, I would go home, I would internalize, and then I would do it. I would execute it. And I didn't know at the time that that's what I was doing, but it was visualize, internalize, practice, execute. It was incredible. And so I became a cheerleader. And, it didn't stop there. Not everyone was happy that I became a cheerleader because I was this dork who took a spot from somebody who was really popular. So I had to work on my social skills as well. It became one of the most important things that I had done because it taught me a pattern of success. I just didn't know that's what was going to happen. But going forward, when I would begin to doubt myself, I would go back to, well, if I can do that then, that was so hard for me back then. I put so much dedication into that time in my life, into preparing for that thing that seemed so impossible. If I can replicate that same pattern, I can do this. And what I did is I set myself up to be able to succeed at different things. So now fast forward to my black belt test. As I got some coaching, I actually explained that situation and we used that. And my coach that I went to said, tell me what's happening in your head. What's happening in your head as you think about your black belt test? And this is what I want you to think about. Whatever it is that you are having a challenge with right now, stop. Think about your internal dialogue. What are you talking to yourself about? Okay? As I thought about my black belt test, I thought about walking in. And in my mind, they were talking about me and saying, oh my gosh, why are we taking her seriously? She's a middle-aged mom. She doesn't even work that hard. She doesn't deserve this. They were all bigger than me because they were like real fighters that had, 5-time world champion titles, 6-time world champion titles, 8th degree black belts, 7th degree black belts, 6th degree black belts, 9th degree black belts. I had this picture of being overpowered by them by their voices, their images, everything. So of course I was setting myself up to fail. I didn't even realize it till I stopped and thought about it. Are you doing the same thing? Stop right now. Think about it. Is the picture you're seeing, is it vivid in color? Are you in a losing position? You can change that. By some simple visualization processes and a meditative process, I literally went into my head. I made them smaller. I made myself bigger. I actually made a couple of them that I was really intimidated by have Mickey Mouse voices. I know that sounds really silly and they're probably going to see this and beat me up or something. But anyways, I made myself much bigger and more powerful and very intense and very focused. And by doing that, I leveled the playing field. And then I went back to the time when I was young, when I made it happen. And I applied that same philosophy: visualization, internalization, and execution. And I did that. That's exactly what I did. So you use your past success to fuel your future success. So when you have failed, there's been a gap. You start on a journey, you start with a goal, and then you get to a certain place and you stop or you fail. Why? Because something is missing in that process. But if you go back and you analyze the times that you have succeeded, look at the times you have succeeded, look closely. When you have knocked it out of the park, I'm not just talking a little success, knocked it out of the park. Analyze those times in your life that you've really succeeded. Where's the gap? What did you do that time that you didn't do the time you failed? Find the gap. That's all you really have to do, and use that to fuel your future success. So I hope this has been helpful. For those of you who are great at mentoring yourself, things like this, I don't know if you're like me, but I love these types of coaching tips and techniques. I'd love to hear your comments and get your questions. If you need a little more, if you need someone to hold your hand, there's no shame in that, there's no crime. I love getting mentoring. So we're gonna give you 3 free videos. See if what we have to offer as a mentoring program might be helpful to you, because we do stuff like this all the time in our communities. So thank you so much. Leave me your questions and comments. Click on the link so you can go get the 3 free videos.